John Laney's here. Steve Rowling?
Here. I'm here.
Here.
Joycelyn.
Okay. Thank you, Joycelyn. Rita?
Uh-oh. You hear that?
Here.
Thank you. Is here. Yanni?
I'm here.
Thank you. Michael's here. Lori?
Here.
Thank you. Noel?
Here.
Thank you. Okay, so we have everyone except Ron today.
Okay, go ahead and everybody had a chance to take a look at the agenda. Go ahead and take a motion for the approval of the agenda.
Approve the agenda.
Second.
Brent Schneidermeyer moves to approve the agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And abstaining? Great. Right. The agenda, consent agenda's in it. No, we do that separate.
Just one big vote for consent agenda.
Okay, but why do I forget this?
Oh, that's okay. It's
All right,
never
now
a thing.
take a look at the consent agenda. Can we get a motion to approve that?
I'll move the approve the consent.
Great, Michael, thank you.
I second this person.
Thank you.
Joycelyn, great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Anyone abstaining? Great, thank you. All right, moving on to preliminary business.
So on preliminary business, awards and recognitions, I want to let you know about an award that we received. Mid-Continent Public Library will be recognized with the Business Investment and Growth in Grandview Award for our investment in the Grandview branch. The award ceremony will be Friday, this coming Friday, on the 21st at 2 p.m. at Grandview Amphitheater. There is a fee to attend, but if you're interested in attending, just let me or Teresa know. We'll make sure that we get you on the list and make sure that the fee is paid for you. But yeah, that'll be 2 o'clock at the amphitheater in Grandview.
Great. Else?
That's all as far as awards and recognition. Teresa, did we have anyone?
Any visitors'
Any
comments?
visitor comments?
Did not have any.
Okay.
Haven't made anybody mad in a while. Perfect. All right, finance, number 5.
Yeah, finance.
Quan?
Yeah, look, Quan's not here.
Juan's not here.
But Quan has a really, really good reason for not being here. His son graduated from NYU.
Oh, wow.
And so he is in New York celebrating his son's graduation. So, figured he should have gone. So I'm going to do my best to walk us through this as well as any other financial questions that you might have today. So if we can go to the next slide, please. Here's our financial highlights in terms of our revenue. You can see our total tax revenue is about $59.7 million. It is higher than last year's total. And we are currently setting at 100% of the budget projection. One of the things before we leave this slide, one of the things that I want to point out to you is that, as we were putting together the budget this time last year, we were very conservative in terms of our revenue projections. And so consequently, because it didn't work out the way we thought it would, in a positive sense, we actually wound up with a lot more revenue than we projected. And we're definitely seeing that that's the case. Clay and Platte counties are already over slightly over 100% of our projection. Jackson County will probably get there too. If it weren't for the clawback that they did at the end of last year, Jackson County would also already be over 100%. If we can go to the next slide, please. So the next slide shows our expenditures. Again, remembering that we did decrease our expenditures and tried to limit our expenditures because we didn't know what the impact of the pandemic was. But you can see payroll and benefits, we're setting at 75%. we should be at about 83%. If we were spending 8.3% per month, we'd be at about 83%. So payroll and benefits, 75%, library materials, 72%, library operations, 65%, for a grand total of 73.1%, about 4% lower than last year's expenditures. Quan also wanted to make sure that you all knew that we voted last month to transfer the unassigned fund, $5.5 million from the unassigned fund balance into capital project fund, and he did that. So that's already been taken care of. You can go to the next slide, please. So next slide is our debt service fund. And so this just tracks the debt service, the certificates of participation, what we have, what our beginning balance was, about $80 million, disbursements, so the money we spent, the ending balance in terms of what we have and are currently still investing with Natixis and Bank of Kansas City. You can also see that we've already paid $7 million, $12 million in principal. And so we're already starting to make a little bit of a dent on that. Still quite a long ways to go, but $60 million is our debt balance right now. If we can go to the next slide. This talks about our capital project fund and the allocations that we have there. I think Quan needed to update this because we should have had the technology update and oh no, I'm sorry. He'll actually do that in the upcoming year. But this talks about the amount of money that we've got allocated for the Whitney home, the reading rocket, the collaboration rooms, as well as the overall capital plan. Next slide, please. This is the one with all the tiny print. It's all of our grant and gifts funds, which we're continuing to move through in a very positive way. We'll talk about this with the technology committee, but we recently received a new grant from the state library that's going to allow us to do a trial service of checking out Chromebook computers. And I'm not 100% sure that that's listed on here yet because that is just a brand new grant, but just wanted to let you know about that trial service for us. If we go to the next slide, this is our health insurance reserve fund, which is running very well in terms of our expectation. Our current fund balance is $1.5 million, which is toward the top of the reserve range that we're looking for. And so we're having a pretty good experience right now. And I think that might be the last slide for the finance report. Just looking through. Yeah, I have no other additional notes. Any questions about this month's finances?
Well, I was just hearing a report this morning about the fact that the pandemic has affected the ability of people to detect disease of other types, and that we're likely to see over the next couple of years in particular kind of something that would eat away at this fund balance. So
I follow. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just, it's great that we have that. And that's where it's supposed to be, to protect against things like that. I think we can, if that report is correct, we can expect to see some diminution of that during the next 2 budget years. One other thing, arbitrage, the amount of dollars that we're getting from the invested have to fall below a certain amount to meet IRS requirements, and we have a consultant, right, that
Yes.
looks at
Yes.
that. And are we still doing okay?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have people looking at that to make sure that we are not earning more than we're supposed to. And if we do, I mean, we had a problem with that with our previous certificates of participation. And 1 year we had to make a payment to the IRS. We haven't come close to that. So. Right. So let me see, maybe just 2 more things, just real quick.
An email on this. I feel like I did. I feel like I got an email on this. Maybe not. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
Just a couple things real quick, though. If you do look at the finances, you'll see that we are a little overspent on our digital content, our e-content. That's by design. That helped to pay off the Kansas City Star archive that we talked about last Also, just letting you know in general, actually, Quan and I have been working with an MPA student, Masters in Public Administration, and he's been asking us all kinds of questions about how we run things. And it's been kind of interesting because, you know, he asks us stuff about decisions that we made that we forgot that we made them and things like, you know, just kind of opens your eyes up when you have a student looking at things. And certainly one of the things that he was talking to us about our certification that we get from the GFOA, our certificate. And we are, I think we've done that 9 years in a row now. Yeah. And so it's something that we continue to work very hard to make sure that we achieve that. And that was the most recent one, I think. Yeah, yeah. So I think that's year 9 that we just received. I haven't received the little seal. Usually I get the little seal.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yes, it will be 9.
Well, and then the plaque itself, so it might be 10.
I'm almost wondering if it isn't
It
10.
might be 10, yeah.
Okay.
So that's the end of the finance report, unless you all have any other questions for me. Tell Quan I did a good job.
Did a great job.
Impressing.
If he's on the Zoom.
He probably is. I mean, I asked him to join, so.
All right, so I guess we're on. If you're on there, good job. Okay.
Well, thank you. I'm listening. Thank you.
All right. And congratulations on your son.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you again.
Okay, so we're moving on to committee reports, the building committee.
My name is Brent Schoenemeyer. I'm chair of the building committee. I happen to be at the headquarters today, and it's good to be with others who are present here. And those of you who are online, let me share some things. I don't think this is going to take a long time. Really a great sense of appreciation for everybody who was very responsive after our last board meeting in responding to the poll. There was a unanimous support of the guaranteed maximum price for Lee Summit. That allowed us to initiate the work and get it under contract. We should all be mindful that material costs are changing weekly, and if not, and sort of escalating. So the more work that we can get underway. As a matter of course, we want to formally ratify it again at this meeting tonight. So I'm going to read a motion out loud, and it comes to you from the building committee. So I don't think a second is in order, but a motion to ratify the poll of April 23rd, 2021 that stated as follow. Approval of a recommendation to the full board to accept work package 15 Lee Summit for the total guaranteed maximum price of $4,978,490 to be paid from the Capital Projects Fund, and approval authorizing staff to draft a notice to proceed. So that comes to you as a motion. I surely would hope nobody's changed their mind on this project and that you would hold consistent to your earlier vote. But I'm going to ask the president to call for a vote to ratify the earlier motion.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Answer. Did everybody online answer?
No, not yet. They haven't. Do you want me to go through it or?
Yeah.
Just wanna do the no?
Or,
You can just do voice vote. I mean, you can ask for those abstentions.
Okay.
is there, did you all vote? I didn't hear it, sorry.
This is Tracy. I'm voting aye.
This is Steve Rowland. Aye.
Thank you.
Noel Stepp.
All right, is there anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? All right.
Gratifying to hear the echoes of ayes coming tumbling in from all over the place. It's good that we did this because the staff has already executed the agreement and we have a contractual obligation that in some senses we, could work our way out of, but it would be a little bit more problematic than we might anticipate. I think we're gonna go maybe to the dashboard and we can call this up and take a look at it. Maybe give you a few highlights. Steve Potter pointed out in I actually want to wish Steve Potter a happy birthday because I noticed that on social media. But among his post on social media was 3 years ago, we had a a media event, and we announced that we were starting on a building program, and that building program was possible because of the support that we had for Proposition L in November of 2016. And what was stunning about it, because I just not tracking and pay attention to the world, we had 35 different projects listed under that building program, and we in some manner or other have initiated 30 of those projects. And so we're kind of deep into it. And Michael and I actually had a wonderful day. Michael Azio, who's here in the room with us, because if you can spend 12 hours on a beautiful Missouri day driving around Clay and Platte County, stopping to have lunch, stopping to have coffee, visiting every branch that was in the Northland and talking with our librarian and seeing the communities, in some ways it's really truly an invigorating day. And it's just sort of great to be out and really sort of to see I'll let Michael share his, views on that. But I just want to share with you is that we've been very, very thoughtful. I look forward actually to meeting the new Clay County representatives. I want to recommend to you highly go visit the Liberty branch. I think that was the last branch that we visited on that day. This was like a 12-hour tour, and maybe Steve didn't know the roads, but I think he did. But maybe it was that extra stop that we had for coffee along the way that made it a little bit longer. But it just really, really important to get out and sort of see the things that we do, because otherwise they appear as a placemat in front of us, and that's important to see. And we're doing a very, very good job of managing the projects, and we're doing a very, very good job of managing the money. So the placemat is in front of you. And I don't know if Steve has anything else that he wants to add to the placemat.
Yeah, we always like to make sure that we share this, make sure that you can see it, make sure that we're holding our number, and certainly, in terms of some of the things that we've been sharing, our contingency, we still have a pretty strong contingency. In fact, based on what J.E. Dunn told us, we have about 11% of our still targeted expenses to make in contingency, which is, and they said typically at this point it'd be 5%. So we're managing the money very well.
So just to give you kind of what's coming your way, the next really sort of big decision for the building committee is actually a site acquisition in Grain Valley. I think we're narrowing what it is that might look like. And that's the major project. We hope to get underway on some of our other projects that are in front of us. During this meeting, there wasn't a quorum present, and so I want to share this in official fashion. I pulled Michael aside and said, I really feel strongly that co-chair approach is very, very helpful to some of this sort of work, particularly giving the number of projects. I realize, I'm told by myself, I'm told by my wife, and I'm told by others that I can become tiresome. So I'm thinking that maybe another voice. Maybe another voice to sort of share the conversation would be helpful. But I also I want to be mindful, as the fact is that the board at some point will undergo some level of transitions, and having some understanding about what we did, how we did it, why we did it. Somebody needs to be around to explain why we had to mudjack all these buildings that we didn't build properly, but I think we've taken care of that. So I asked Michael, I checked with the president of the board before the meeting. Michael has agreed to do that. And so I want to tell you that Michael will be the co-chair of the building committee. Trent Skaggs was actually co-chair at an earlier point. And when Trent left the board, I just feel that's a good way to kind of share leadership, because Michael told me more stories about the Northland than I ever knew or was aware of. And
He knows about the Northland. We're a secret.
it was the restaurant where the farmers met to talk about and so in some ways it is just really, really great to get out and sort of see and appreciate just how big, how diverse, how varied. I was in Edgerton or something? Yeah. And Edgerton, and so they were talking about people coming down from St. Joe to use the library branch. And
that was Dearborn.
Dearborn, okay, I'm sorry. Okay. I will wrap this up quickly here and we'll move on to other things. But I was in Dearborn, and they said people were coming down from St. Joe to use the library because we had great databases and they had reciprocity agreements. And I said, well, how far were we from St. Joe? And they said 10 miles. And I was just kind of, Okay, well, that made sense to me. So,
Powerball winner was from Camden Point, by the way.
all right.
Library branch there.
So anyway, it was a good day. Michael may have some things that he wants to share, and I think that may be it for the building committee. So,
We've got a few pictures that we.
oh yeah, I'm sorry. Well, you should see some of the things that we saw, and they're out of date already.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, just, I guess, whenever you want.
Oh, good.
Yeah, just, the day was phenomenal. It was a great day. And of course, I guess we're fueled by coffee sometimes, so anyway, the Northland's great. I mean, the whole system's great because we toured everything. And I guess one of the highlights for me was meeting the people and hearing stories in the libraries and, the buildings and all that stuff are nice, but the people are amazing. And there's really some dedicated folks that love the library and love what they do. And that was very evident every branch we went to. And relationships are what make things go really well. And so that was very exciting to see that. And so that was both the north and the south, the whole thing. And just the level, I guess, of commitment from people that they have, and it shows in their love for the libraries. And buildings are great. We ended up at the Withers branch. That place was amazing.
Oh,
Yeah, it was astounding. And then we went to the house at Woodneath and just stood in there, and it's like it'd be kind of cool to hear the walls talk, in that place. That they could tell some serious stories, but just the progress that's made on the auditorium building. The last time I saw anything about that was just the pictures, Steve, that you sent out about the footings and the steel laying on the ground. Well, it's all going up, and they're on it. So anyway, it was really enjoyable. It was eye-opening for me in so many ways. And I just appreciate just the library system and the people that are doing their jobs day by day. So,
Well, in terms of the tours, I'm trying to go on tour, not this month or next month, just because of budgets and all of that. It tends to be a little bit time consuming in general. But after that, I'm trying to go one leg of the tour every month. And I'm always looking for somebody to share a cup of coffee with me as we're driving around the library district. So anytime you're interested, let me know. We can definitely do that. So do have a few photos. So if we can go to the next slide. There we go. This is our what's the status plans, or what's the status update. So next slide, please. We had the Grandview opening in March, and then Blue Ridge closing the next day. Colburn Road Punch Walk, which you made sure that we had the punch, did the walk through the punch list. And then Woodneath Homestead, the wood flooring and plaster installation. That was all done in March. So if we go to the next slide. In April, the Colburn Road substantial completion, which once we got that meant that we could start moving shelving in and start doing all of that good work. And correlated with that was the closing of the Lee Summit branch out for bid, which of course, that's when we just did the poll ratification. And then in terms of Woodneath, paint, trim, doors, and installed the fire shutter and refinished all the wood floors, which we got a chance to peel up a little bit of the paper and take a look at those wood floors. And they're special. They've done a really, really nice job. So if we go to the next slide, we did close the Lee Summit branch, and part of that was so that we could move the collection and start moving the staff over to Colburn Road. And the Colburn Road soft opening is May the 26th. So that's when you'll be able to get in there and actually check out a book from Colburn Road. In terms of the homestead, the Woodneath house, painting the walls, ceiling, installing the carpet. It's mostly carpet up on the second floor. And so they'll, in fact, we saw the carpet tiles. They were getting ready to get those installed. We also saw where they punched through for the elevator. And so it's close. It'll probably be ready by the end of the month would be my guess. So certainly we were walking around there not getting dusty.
No.
So it's looking really good. If we go to the next slide, got a few pictures here. So this is the Woodneath Auditorium, and you can see structural steel, roof decks on. The picture down in the lower left-hand corner is kind of showing the stage. That's why that cone's right there, so people won't fall off the front of the stage. But you can see a lot of the structural steel, the stud walls are going in and moving very quickly. The next slide, so it's this project, and then on the next slide, we'll see Blue Ridge. Those are really the two big projects that we've got, along with finishing up Colburn Road and starting to mobilize for Lee Summit. So what we can see at Blue Ridge is the installation of the elevator. That's all the work that you're seeing here. So cutting the hole in the floor and the reinforcement, got to get a little bit of a dog house up on top of the roof for the elevator, and the sump pit down in the basement that they needed to build. So all of that is going on right now and moving forward quickly. As I recall, I think those are the last pictures for the report. And Brent, I think you already mentioned.
Yeah, no reason for a closed session. We just had it on there in case we had something to bring to you. And I think that's it from the building committee, but other board members may have some question on a particular project or something they want us to be aware of or know about. So, please speak up and share.
Oh, I got to see the Riverside branch today, and I'm just wondering when we're going to get a new branch there.
That will be a very interesting conversation on the part of the building committee. Actually talked about it so recently. Charlotte, there's two really divergent views. Is Riverside growing? Do we have the resources to invest in a larger, newer branch? Actually, we stopped and looked at the site that the city was proposing, for us. We have put Riverside intentionally down to the bottom of the list so we could see where we are in terms of
A lot of new housing developments there.
And so, others may share a point of view of it all. We clearly have the funds to stay where we are and remodel that, but that building has problems which Steve Potter has identified for us and others. So
I saw the water problems.
yeah.
I think we need to talk about that in the building committee, though.
Yeah. I mean, in reality, they are asking for funds in excess of what it is that we might currently have available under our building program. So we've been talking on this one and thinking on this one for about 5 years. And so, or 4, at the least, but we will, Charlotte, given that we know you're interested in it, when we come up in the building committee, happy to invite you and let you, because all our committees are open, and to other board members and also to the public.
That's my branch that I go to 24/7. So I'm there a lot. It's a sad thing when I look at the other branches.
I think like I said, I think we know we needed to do something. It was just a matter of, they want a lot of money.
Who's they?
Riverside.
The city.
Or for what we've
Yeah.
discussed about moving and all that. I mean, they want
They want a bunch of money.
They want way more than what we have. So I think, and that's stuff that we can't really talk about
Okay.
right now. So that's why I said it's probably better
Yeah.
in the committee.
It has been a library of focus and attention and much discussion is how I would put it.
Got it.
Will continue to be.
Yes.
I can hear
Yeah.
that. Oh.
It's not been forgotten.
No, it has definitely not been forgotten.
Thanks for asking. So.
All right, technology committee. I know Ron is not here, so I believe Joycelyn's been asked to do this and I had to get off early, so.
Joycelyn, are you able to do the technology report?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. The technology committee met on Monday, May 17th, it's yesterday. It was a hybrid meeting in person and here on Zoom. There's one recommendation from the committee and one discussion item. The 2021 operation budget, the staff presented that the technology lines of the operating budget for consideration. The proposal is very similar to the proposal from last year. The total resource allocations, including the capital funded projects from last month, licensing for online content like ebooks and other electronic resources, those total $9,088,144. including the capital expenditure approved last month. The committee and staff discussed the budget. So as you see on the screen there, the 2021 budget line, from the committee, they recommend the full board approval of the technology lines in the 2021-2022 operating budget. So we'll open up that for discussion or questioning, or turn it back to Michelle for that piece. And then I have the annual review part of the report.
Discussion. and then vote on
Okay,
the
do we have
budget
any
line.
discussion? Oh, I guess we need to do that.
Well, just a,
But she
Oh,
did it
sorry,
as
she
a
did,
recommendation,
sorry.
so we're fine.
Oh,
So, yeah,
that's right.
discussion.
just a question related to what we've seen plenty of the last few days with cyber activity disrupting the pipeline system and causing all kinds of havoc in many of our states and causing gasoline prices to raise and so forth. Are we spending enough on cyber defense? I mean, I feel almost silly saying that, but it's not silly. It's important that we feel that we're spending enough money to be able to anticipate and work against anything of that sort happening to the library. One of the interesting things I just heard recently about that, which was surprising, was that maybe carrying around a hard copy in the trunk of your car is not such a bad idea. That's kind of a joke because several years back, the way we kept our copies of backup were in the back of a trunk of a car. And we thought that was kind of odd, and we were glad when it shifted to other kinds of backup. But now it seems we ought to be a little concerned about having a hard copy backup for sure. And so I just say that only to highlight the fact that we ought to make sure that we're spending enough money in that area. So I just open for discussion.
Got a question. Didn't we hire a company, a cybersecurity company to check us and make sure we're okay? We have them on contract? I think we did.
Hi, this is Brian. Yeah, and yes, we do have we do an annual security audit every year through Mornet. They help us go through and make sure that we're managing our servers and our passwords are we're following protocols with that. How we're upgrading our servers and our policies and that. They go through a whole thing with us that make sure that we're following certain guidelines and also making sure that we're doing certain things with our servers and our network. The other thing that we do through them, and they hire a third-party company to do this, is we do an annual intrusion test. And so that company actually comes in and they try to poke holes in our network and our servers and all that, and they give us a report of that. They also do it from outside of our organization, trying to get in to make sure that we don't have any holes from outside the internet coming into our network and into our servers. And so we do that annually, and that test is actually coming up in just a few weeks, actually. So we'll have that done. And so we always make improvements every year off of those reports because the types of attacks and those types of things change. So it's like a growing and a learning process every year. But we typically do very well with those reports. And I know the IT staff really follows a lot of safety and security guidelines when it comes to those things, but getting an external look at it is always a really good thing. And we do that annually. And then we also have a whole suite of antivirus software and a deep backup strategy and a disaster recovery site at Smithville that helps protect our data and do all those types of things. And so, yeah, we have kind of a deep structure, and we feel very confident about it. Knock on wood. Seems like the ransomware and the malware stuff stays ahead of us a little bit out there in security land, but I feel pretty confident that we're doing the things that we need to be doing to try and stay safe. So.
And I'd like to add two more things to what Brian said. First of all, in terms of a global thing, we did talk quite a bit about this in the technology committee meeting during our technology review, just to make sure, just sort of separate from the budget lines. But lots of things that we talked about. I think what Charlotte might have been remembering, though, is that about this time last year, we had a budget line where we actually put all of our staff through cyber training. And taught them sort of how to be aware of how to notice suspicious email and not to click on the things that are wrong. And all of our staff went through that.
Wow.
And we had not only documentation that they went through it, but that they successfully passed it. As I recall, this company actually every so often they'll send, fake emails to try to get you to click on them and things like that, just to test you. And so we did this before several years ago, and it was time to update it, and we did that just most recently this last year. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that our strategy around all of this has been about limiting risk in general, and so that's sort of our overwhelming strategy. And part of the way that we mitigate risk is through cyber insurance, so that if something were to happen,
They have cyber insurance?
we have cyber insurance, and we have a.
How much do we have?
I would have to check with Chris because I don't remember off the top of my head. Quan can definitely get that, or we can get the number. But we feel confident that if we were to have a ransomware situation, that we would be in good shape. The other thing is, like I said, it's about mitigating risk. So our strategy that in a lot of cases we've moved things to shared platforms in larger areas. So an example is the card catalog. When you search on the digital card catalog, 10 years ago, that card catalog used to just be on the other side of this wall. I mean, it was on a computer that was on the other side of this wall. And the problem with that is that if something happens to that, we're just sort of standing alone. It's just Mid-Continent Public Library that has the problem. And there's a little bit less motivation for the company to get out there and to get it fixed, right? So what we do now is our catalog is actually hosted by a company called BiblioCommons. It's in a third-party site. If our catalog were to get malware, virus, or something like that, other library catalogs are also getting that as part of that larger server farm, which means they have motivation to get in there and get it done because a lot of their clients are having an issue. So Brian and I look at that a lot of cases. Where can we look at situations where if we host, it, first of all, it pushes the risk on them, but it also will give us a situation where they will be more responsive to us. And so we've done that a lot. So yeah, John, you never want to say never, but we feel confident that we're doing the things we need to do to decrease and look at this all the time. And certainly if we did have a situation, and you might remember over time, we slowly built the redundant servers in Smithville and the generator up there. And if we felt like we needed to do something like that more, we would definitely bring that to the board.
Steve, a lot of our services are distributed, and that's worthy to note. I mean, our primary CRC database that houses all of our books and patron records and all that stuff is hosted by CRC. Our catalog's hosted by BiblioCommons. Our website is hosted by the people who designed our website. A lot of our email is out in Microsoft land, and they have very strong ransomware and malware strategies in place. Having that distributed out means that if one of those gets attacked, our core doesn't get attacked, and vice versa. And so being distributed is a good thing. There's some plus and minuses to that. But it keeps all of our eggs from not being in one basket. That's about the only way I know how to put it. So
right. Again, it's risk, decreasing risk. That's the whole strategy.
Yep.
Thank you.
I just want to reiterate what I did say in the technology committee to Brian and his entire staff, if any of them are listening. I think we all knew, those of us that have been here for a while we know what a great job they do. But I think last year proved what an amazing job they do.
Yeah.
I think we were, we saw all these companies having to play catch up and having to do all this stuff. And while COVID was a bad thing and it was uncomfortable for a lot of places and we had people working from home, because of everything that we were already prepared for, it wasn't a difficult transition for us. It was uncomfortable, but it wasn't difficult. And so I have full faith in he's got us set up appropriately. That's for darn sure. I mean, I just think they've done an outstanding job and need to be commended for it.
Amen to that.
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that. I'm very fortunate to have the staff I have. I'm really lucky. I've got a great staff under me, and they work hard at this every day to make sure that we're pointed in the right direction. And so I really appreciate you all saying that. It means a lot to me and means a lot to my staff too. So thank you very much.
We appreciate the job you've done, that's for sure. Does anybody else have anything else? That was a great question there, John.
Yeah, good question.
Anyone else?
This is Lori Lemunion. I just have one question about kind of like the future of technology. And like if we will like looking into possibly having like 3D printers and having places where people can come to the library, or even just one place like a technology center where we can have something like that.
Brian, I want to throw this to you, but I want to do an initial setup. I know we were talking in 2018 and 2019, we were talking about getting some 3D printers and doing some trials on them and things like that. But then I think it's mostly 2019 is when we were really talking about doing it.
Right.
And as we started ramping up toward it, we started going into COVID and got completely distracted. But that's my recollection at least. But Brian, do you want to?
Yeah, we did. We had a whole goal around that, about getting, as you know, a lot of library systems have maker spaces, what are called maker spaces. They're dedicated rooms for that. We don't have a lot of those, so we were looking at a kind of a mobile solution that we could put on a cart and could be rolled into a collaboration room if somebody needed to use one. And the IT staff had gotten quite a ways into that, in finding the easiest printer for people to use and the right setup to use. And they have a lot of good documentation on that already that we could circle back to pretty easily. But then, like Steve said, we got into COVID and we just started tabling all of that stuff while we started putting out various fires for just keeping us connected and those types of things. So yeah, that's definitely something we need to circle back to. And with our virtual environment, another goal that we had was also looking at the software side of things, allowing people to be able to come in and sit down at a PC or check a laptop out, and we would have the Adobe suite and some other creative software on there that they could use. As you know, that's very expensive software also, and it's difficult for people to have access to that. So we were looking into those types of solutions also to complement the 3D printing and other stuff that we were looking at. But it just kind of all got tabled on us this last year. So.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. And I know there's a lot of free 3D printing software, and so I'm really hoping to be a part of that. So thank you for giving me the update of where you left off before I came. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. So now we need to take a vote.
Yeah, just take the vote on the budget lines.
All right. So all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone?
What do we vote on?
The budget lines.
For the technology committee.
The technology committee. Is there anyone opposed? Is there anyone abstaining? Okay, Brent, your motion or not? Joycelyn, motion carries.
Great. The other item was, the technology committee was provided with an annual review. Staff provided an overall review of the library technology, highlighting several accomplishments from the past year, including the following. First up was extending the service to the parking lots, the high-speed Wi-Fi upgrade in those spots so that patrons could access library services without entering the buildings which were closed. Personally, people found that very, very helpful. The next part was mobile printing.
Hey, Quan, you need to mute.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Joycelyn. Go ahead.
It's all right. I've been there. The next one was the mobile printing without access to printers at home. Software has existed before, but it was extended and updated. The rollout of Microsoft Office 365 for staff made remote working from home much better and helped staff to be much more nimble in the process of moving things online and responding in COVID. Part of the main reason why library services continued to roll out was staff was able to work from home. The new Wi-Fi to go service, about 200 units are available that not only are available, they're always been checked out. The new grant funded service allowing MCPL to check out Chromebook computers. Again, that's another service that is available in use of Chromebooks, helps us also to keep the library system and the community's personal computers safe in that when you check into Chromebook, it doesn't transfer your information is stored in the cloud, not on the device itself. Using the transfer from last month, updates to the self-check computers and the data storage system in the coming year were some of the items that had, were also part of our annual review that was provided. And the technology staff undertook the website's annual review for usability and ADA accessibility. What that means is making sure that our website and other services are available to people who have accessibility issues. The committee, and make sure it is compliant with the different accessibility services that individuals use to access our website and other services. And yes, we did discuss the methods, practices that MCPL uses to decrease the risk associated with ransomware and malware and other forms of cyber attacks. We have quite an extensive review from that with Brian and our director. And I think the board and the community can rest assured that not only is the library safe, but our information as we use the library is also safe as well. As safe as it can be, given the rapid nature of these cyber attacks. But all caution and care has been put in place in our systems. And that's my report. If anyone has any questions, I'm sure Steve or Brian can address them.
Does anyone have any additional questions? Okay, thank you, Joycelyn. Appreciate it. All right, Mr. Laney.
Well, thank you. I had an elaborate speech prepared about the budget, but Trustee Schandelmeyer took all of my time away, so I will cut it short and just say that before you have the proposed annual budget for the next fiscal year, and the Finance Committee will meet on the 25th.
Beautiful document.
At 10 o'clock here at headquarters for a full meeting of the Finance Committee. Anyone is invited any trustee is invited to come to that meeting, and we're welcome. If you cannot come but have questions that you want to pose for us to consider, I hope that you will call me and let me know that, and we will make sure that it gets discussed. The process from this point on is that we will have a very thorough discussion of the proposed annual budget as it stands now. There may be some suggestions that come out of that for change and revision. But we'll take into consideration all of the work that the committees have done and all of the discussion and the actions that the board has already taken, and we'll be prepared in June, at the June meeting, to make a full recommendation regarding the budget. And so I appreciate the conservative budgeting that went on last year, because we have a little bit to work with this year, and that's good news, really good news, and we're happy to have it. But please don't hesitate if you have questions that you want considered. Let us know that so that we can discuss them at our meeting coming up, and then we'll have a second meeting beyond that to take a look at what is draft number 2 of the budget, which is usually the process that we take, and then we'll be prepared to bring our recommendations finally to the board. So that's my report, unless there are questions. And Charlotte, do you have something to add to that?
Nope.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Mr. Potter.
I did just want to, I'll go into librarian report just real quickly. The draft budget will be up on the website for the public to be able to see and to make comments as well. So I think.
What part of the website is that on?
Yeah, it's on board docs right now. I think it's in the about the library section and where we have all of the budgets. And I think Andrew is putting up the draft budget tomorrow morning. I think it's the plan. So, and usually I write a blog post about the budget every year that'll get on the front page, and we'll point people to that as well. So all of that's coming. So librarians report. I just really had a couple things that I wanted to talk with you about. The first one is the COVID-19 update. First of all, I'm discontinuing the monthly dashboard for statistics, because I don't think there's any reason for us to continue to do them. We haven't had any new cases, and the way things are changing, it just didn't make sense for us to carry on with that. But I did want to share some information with you. We did undertake an HR survey. So our HR department sent out a voluntary survey for our staff to report their vaccination status. It is anonymous. We did not track names or branches or anything. But as of today, we had over 70% of our staff had already participated in the survey, which is about, Jennifer told me that was 538 of 766 employees. And here's what we discovered so far about vaccine status amongst our staff. 83.6% claim to be fully vaccinated. 3.1 have 1 of 2 doses. Another 3.1 say they're not vaccinated, but plan on getting vaccinated soon. And that gives us a remainder of 4.9 who are not vaccinated and are undecided, and 3.6 who are not vaccinated and say they will not be getting vaccinated. So when you do the math, what that means is 86.7% are vaccinated or halfway vaccinated, and another 3.1 are planning on being vaccinated. So 90% of our staff are either vaccinated or will be vaccinated soon. I think this is important because it should help us assure a healthy working and service environment, and should help us decrease risk moving forward, since we have so many folks who are vaccinated or planning to be vaccinated. So with that, and certainly with such a high number, I mean, if obviously Mid-Continent Public Library is not a silo in and of itself. I mean, we work in a larger world, but you could argue that if we were, Mid-Continent Public Library's done a lot in terms of staff and herd immunity, if you will. But setting that aside for a moment, I did want to give you an update on our operations, because I think this is really the important part that I wanted to share with you today. We have had several changes in operations that either have occurred or will occur between our last meeting and tonight. So starting on May the 1st, we stopped quarantining all items. So when you return an item, it gets checked right in and shelved as quickly as possible. Yesterday, we stopped our AB team scheduling. As you might remember, AB scheduling helped us decrease exposure amongst our staff, but it also really decreased scheduling flexibility. So doing away with AB team scheduling gives us flexibility again, which allowed us to increase our hours of operation. As of today, we increased our hours, adding back 2 morning hours on several of our days. So current operating hours for our standard branches are 9 to 7, Monday through Thursday, 9 to 6 on Friday, and 10 to 6 on Saturday. For libraries with Sunday hours, those will be restored this coming Sunday. And they'll be 1 to 5, which is their normal Sunday hours. As soon as possible, and over the next couple of weeks, we will finish, when we finish up with our hiring, and the rest of our coverage, we'll be able to add back our remaining evening hours, which is 8 to 9 o'clock, or actually 7 to 9, because we're closing at 7 now, so 7 to 9 on Monday through Thursday. And when that happens, we'll be back to normal, all the hours.
How does this impact your staffing? Like you were down to 364 full-time equivalents. How's this going to bring it up to the 406 or the 418?
Well, what's happening is a couple things. First of all, the changing of the scheduling from AB gives us more flexibility so that we can cover more people, or we can cover more hours with the same people in some cases. But the other thing is that the decrease in hours, where we're closing at 7 as opposed to staying open till 9, that's where we're seeing the difference. So as we're able to add in more staff, that's when we're able to add in those additional evening hours. But based on what Jennifer's saying, that should be for very soon.
You're still at 7 o'clock closing right now?
Mhm.
And so when you go to 9 o'clock is when you're going to have more people. Is this when you split shifts then at 9 o'clock?
No. I mean, we've done away with the split shifts. And and that was as of yesterday. So it's just a matter of getting those final pieces in place to be able to cover those additional, what was that, 2, 4, 6, 8 hours at those branches each week. So coming soon. So the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about changes is effective this week, we eliminated occupancy limits. So, there were a lot of our branches where you could only have 50% occupancy. All of those went away this week, as well as time limits. We also had a provision where you can only be in the library for 90 minutes. Those are gone now. You can be in the library as long as you want. We are encouraging staff and visitors to follow safe distancing protocols. Although we have not been able to remove all the signs that state the mask requirements, we're not enforcing mask requirements. So if anybody comes in, they don't have masks, we don't chase them down and tell them to put on masks.
They didn't beat me up today.
They shouldn't have. They shouldn't have. They're not supposed to be doing the mask requirements. The small collaboration rooms, the small study rooms are being brought back into service this week, so people can book those and start using those as well. And the community rooms, the larger spaces, the larger rooms are right now offline because we're needing those. We're just slowly rolling into this to determine how much extra space we need for social distancing, and we're using that space for that purpose. If it ends up we don't need it, then we'll roll that back. So lots and lots and lots of changes in the last 30 days, but it's beginning to feel an awful lot like a return to normal. Yeah. A couple more things that I had, I'm going to skip that one. The state appropriation for libraries. As you know, the Missouri General Assembly just recently closed their business. And one of the things that they do every year is they consider a bill, House Bill 12, which involves statewide library funding. So all the numbers that I'm going to give you are numbers that are for the whole state of Missouri, in which Mid-Continent gets a little slice. Okay. But it was a very good year for Missouri library funding. So the state aid and equalization funds was funded at $3.5 million. We usually get about $380,000 of that is what Mid-Continent gets. The REAL, which is remote access for libraries, was funded at $3.1 million, and that helps fund some of our online content throughout the entire state of Missouri. Money that comes from Washington, from the LSTA, the Library Services and Technology Act, is $4.1 million. And so we received that amount. There's an appropriation line for that, and it's just passed through. Also, the federal ARP funds, the American Recovery Program, that came in an amount of $3.3 million, and that was appropriated for the Missouri libraries. And then the last thing that was funded which this one I'm almost going to fall out of my chair when I tell you about this. The out-of-state athletes and entertainers tax was appropriated at $3.7 million. And as near as we can tell, this is the first time in the nearly 30-year history of this tax that it was 100% appropriated for the purposes as stated in the statute. And so this is going to be a very positive thing for libraries. Typically, what we do with those funds is we use them to buy things like ebooks or enhance our.
Could you repeat the name of that tax?
It's the out-of-state athletes and entertainers.
Oh, so that, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so like when somebody, when
the teams play.
Yeah, when the Detroit Tigers come to town and they play the Royals, they have to pay us.
So they've never, ever taken that seriously till now?
Oh, well, they've always taken it seriously. They've collected the money. They've just never distributed it correctly. So this is the first time it's ever been 100% distributed in, I think, 30 years. So, yeah, it is. It really is. Now, the other thing I want to tell you about Jeff City is we track bills that go on in Jeff City, and I'm sure all of you have your favorite bills that you were tracking and seeing this year. There weren't a lot with direct or indirect impact for our library system this year. So there were lots of other things going on, but not a whole lot for libraries this year. So we'll see what ends up happening. So it really was about the money this year for us, and not a bad year as it turned out.
See, but you have, like, compared to last year, you're going to have another extra 10 million, aren't you? Close to that? Considering all the taxes and all the grants.
And let's see, that's 6. And no, it's about 7 million. It's about 7 million. But remember, that's not us. The whole state of Missouri is getting that, and we have.
How much better are we doing from last year? All numbers included. Is that in the budget number I need to look at?
It might be in the budget, but yeah, a lot of the stuff in terms of like the federal stimulus and the out-of-state athletes and entertainers tax, we're just going to figure out the stimulus are going to be grants, and we're going to have to apply for those, and we may get them and may not get them. And the A&E funds will be equally distributed, but I'm not sure how the state library.
Take a while to figure that out.
The last thing that I wanted to share with you is I asked Susan Ray to put together a little presentation. And I think it's just verbal. I don't think she's got any slides or anything to talk to you about the summer library program. It's one of the most important things that we do every year. And it's one of the most important things I think that any library does every year, because if you've got that foundation where you know how to read, then you can do so many different things in the world. And it's something we can do really simply that can help any family, no matter what their circumstance. And so we changed the summer reading program a little bit. We think we simplified it, made it better. It's got a great theme to go along with Missouri Bicentennial. And so, Susan, do you want to tell everyone about the summer library program?
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. This year's theme is actually called Show Me. It's to tie in with the state of Missouri's bicentennial. It runs from June 1st to August 24th, and those dates are considerably different than they have been in the past. Typically, we start the Monday before Memorial Day, and then quit by the end of July. This year, we don't want to do that. We're finding that students in the past have been completed within the first week, and then they're done for the year, and we're not going to do that. This year, it has also been altered in that we are truly going back to our roots. It is all reading based, and we are asking teams to read 20 minutes a day for 20 days to complete each level. We don't care what they read. They can read a recipe, they can read the back of the cereal box, they can read a comic book, a magazine, whatever they want to read. And it doesn't have to be 20 minutes consecutively. So if they read, the back of the
magazine, they can qualify because Emma's got that down.
They can do that. That's okay. In the past two, it has been a point-based system, and this year with the reading, it is not. And so even though there are activities and online programming going on over the course of the summer, those are available to families and kids, but they're not required. We're really putting the emphasis back on reading. We are also continuing with our daycare program. This has not really changed. Each daycare that registers and participates, read a book. Activity poster, and when the classroom completes that, they report that back to their branch, whichever branch that they work with, and each child in the classroom will get to take a book home. That is different than what it's been in the past. Last year and the year before, we'd given classroom sets so that the teacher has them, and now we have gone back to giving the students actually books so that they can take them home and have them share them there. We're also piloting a very similar program with 3 school districts to coincide with summer school. Those school districts are Center, Grandview, and the Independent School District. They will also get posters, and the teachers can register their classes. And once they are completed, their students in their classrooms will also get books. All of these students, if they want to participate separately by going into the branch, they can earn additional books through the course of the summer just by registering as the general public, not as a classroom. We really wanted to go back to the core of reading, because not only do we have summer slide that typically happens, and I know many of you are familiar with that phrase, we also have COVID slide. With all of the students who have been virtual all year, some of those students have logged into their classes and some of them have not. So we're hoping that this is a way to help them, encourage them, promote reading, and have them pick up something every single day and have a greater impact to them than they might have in the past. They will earn, there are 3 levels. So for each 20 days that you read for 20 minutes, you earn a book, and we're just giving out books for the first 2 levels. Each of those books also has a library nameplate in it. And this is especially important for the daycares and the summer schools, so that there's some connection between the school and the library. So it's not just a random book coming home. Parents or caregivers, whoever they live with, know where it came from. Once a child has reached the 3rd level, they will get a 3rd book, and their name will go into a drawing for a Kindle. That's what we've done for the last few years. The Kindles are popular, and it's 1 per branch, so it isn't 1 for the entire district. There's more opportunities to do that. Something else just flashed through my mind, and now it's gone. But there is an adult component. If adults read for 20 minutes for 60 days, there is a pin, and I don't know if Steve has his pin on or not, but if so, you can check out what that pin looks like. We want to encourage adults to read too, because that's important for modeling that reading behavior, and they can, if they're reading with their kids for 20 minutes a day, that counts for them too. So we're pretty liberal and pretty flexible and pretty open to however you want to read, just as long as you're reading.
Yes, that's the updated summer library program. So just a couple things to reiterate. There is a really nice booklet that kind of a brochure that talks about this. I think, Brent, I saw you pick that up when we were on tour. We will send you a digital version of that, all of you, and that'll explain the whole process to you in greater detail so that you can explain it to your friends and neighbors. Brent, I hate to put you on the spot on this, but you were the one who shared this statistic with me that in suburban households and in households that kind of got the memo about the importance of reading, and in non-mobile households, it's something like 75 books per household or something like that. But in at-risk communities, what was that number? Do you have?
I'm going to go back and find it. I mean, it was just it was stunning. It was staggering. Some of you know that I do work in in school districts. And when you give a child a book of their own and their nameplate, they don't know what to do with it because they've never had it. And the idea that they would own a book of their own and there wasn't somebody that they had to take it back to and return to. And so this is really one of the extraordinary things we do. I'll try to find that, but I did not have as much as I might imagine. I understand what's happening in the community. I was just kind of overwhelmed by this. And so the idea that the library offers access to books for checkout and access to books for personal books, because a lot of homes just don't have personal book collections.
Yeah, particularly homes that have a lot of mobility. I mean, if you're moving from hotel room to hotel room, and that happens a lot in our footprint. The little kids' books just don't get packed up. They don't. So this gives them an opportunity to build their own library. So we're excited about it and excited about the theme. It's nice to go along with the Missouri Bicentennial and give people a little bit of pride about where they live as well. So we'll get that PDF brochure to you and send it to you so you can be telling your friends and neighbors about the summer library program. Thank you, Susan. Thank you for sharing that today. That's the end of the librarian's report.
Thank you. All right, moving on to new business. Public hearing for the 2022 levy.
So what we have here is pursuant to Missouri Revised Statutes 137, Mid-Continent Public Library holds a public hearing each year to hear public comment about the proposed levy rate. This hearing is a requirement for the library to set its levy each year. Mid-Continent Public Library typically places a notice of this hearing in the newspaper with the highest circulation in the MCPL district as required by statute. It's the Kansas City Star. We post the meeting announcement at the branches and post the notice of the hearing on the library's online governance system and website. MCPL welcomes comment on the proposed budget from the public at this time as well. Consequently, a draft version of the budget is printed and made available at each branch. And in addition, the proposed budget is made available on the library's website and online governance system. Staff recommends that the board establish a hearing for public input on the 2021 levy and the 2021-22 budget for June the 3rd at 10 a.m. at the North Independence Branch.
Okay, question. North Independence Branch, I thought that's coincides with the committee meeting, the finance committee meeting, does it not? Or?
Yes, yeah, typically we have the public hearing and then we have the committee meeting, the second committee meeting afterward.
Okay, well, so that meeting will be at East Independence.
North Independence.
I'm sorry, North Independence.
Correct.
Yeah. There is no East Independence.
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Okay.
So we need a motion if you all agree with staff recommendation to hold that.
I move.
Motion. Charlotte moves. Can I get a second? Michael seconds. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Anyone opposed?
Yeah, we move that out. Is June 3rd a good date, or should we move that farther out so there's more notice to the public?
No, I mean, we
have to have that done.
It's already given the amount of notice that has to be given. And I'm
Yeah,
it's probably 30 days. Quan probably published that a week or two ago.
I mean, well, no, he hasn't published it yet because he doesn't publish it based.
30-day notice?
No, it's not a 30-day.
2 weeks?
But it's only supposed to be.
I know it meets the requirement.
Yeah, there is a requirement. I was thinking it was 10-day requirement.
10 day.
It's 10. All right. Is there anyone opposed? And is there anyone abstaining? Okay, the motion will carry.
Okay. A couple of announcements. Actually, this is probably the big announcement that I want to make. That on June the 11th, we will have our first rededication of a branch in a long time. So that'll be the grand opening of the new Colburn Road branch on June 11th. So Jim Staley just sent me that information. It's not on board docs or anything. So we will get you more information as we know more information. Other things that are coming up,
Of course, the library will be closed on Memorial Day. We've got several committee meetings coming up in the near future. The Legacy Luncheon, which is a virtual event, unfortunately, is on July the 16th. Please review those meeting announcements, and if you have any questions, please let me know.
Okay, those are all in the back of
Yes.
this booklet here. Oops, I gotta get back. I lost my place. Oosh.
We're at trustee.
Okay, is there any trustee comments?
I've been far too effusive, so I'll be quick. You got a budget document.
Just getting ready.
Yeah, I know. You got a budget document, and I'm going to encourage you to read
Yes.
2 pages. Page 13, it shows you where we have library branches, but probably more consequential. I'm always overwhelmed. If you want to understand our library system, go look at page 57. It shows a comparative analysis of how we do as a library system. It's really important information. It shows you that we manage our money well, shows you that we provide a lot of materials. It shows you how we do relative to our peers, and that in some senses, it's the value proposition of the Mid-Continent Public Library. And when you're in, it's hard to know that, and it's important to see this, how we do in comparison relationship to others. So page 57, you can take it in a minute.
Okay, thank you, Brent. I will take a motion for adjournment. Charlotte.
Second.
Thanks. All those in favor? Aye.
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 And I'm not letting anybody oppose. Good night.